Speaking of the urgency of kinda now, the first vote towards the impeachment of Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, and thus the first unofficial vote endorsing the Senate prospects of Roland Burris, unanimous today by an Illinois House committee. The vote next moves to the full Illinois legislature, the decision coming mere hours after Blagojevich's potential last ever appointee testified about how he happened to be handed the job of junior senator for Illinois. Mr. Burris telling the impeachment panel at the State House that he never knew of any pay-to-play schemes involving Senator Obama's seat, and that he did not speak to the governor about his desire for the seat until after charges had been filed against the governor. But he did mention his desire for the seat, if it opened, to one of Blagojevich's chief aides, Lon Monk.
I recall having a meeting with Lon Monk about my partner and I trying to get continued business, and I did bring it up. It must have been in September or July, maybe it was in July of 08, that, if you're close to the governor, let him know that I'm certainly interested in the seat.
The acknowledgement of that discussion, an apparent contradiction to Mr. Burris's own sworn affidavit sent to the committee 3 days ago, which read in part, "There was not any contact between myself or any of my representatives with Governor Blagojevich or any of his representatives regarding my appointment to the United States Senate." A Democratic aide tonight telling the Huffington Post that the discrepancy should make the Senate take a harder look at the Burris appointment. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid's office telling Countdown tonight that they will review the testimony and decide how to move forward. Joining me now, Washington Post White House reporter Chris Cillizza. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Keith.
The Majority Leader said Burris needed to remove any stain of impropriety from this appointment by this at least controversial governor. So how big a problem is this discrepancy about that? If it ever opens up, I'm interested line.
Well, we don't know yet. I think we're a little too close to it happening. I did a little bit of reporting when I heard about this, and I got about the same response that you guys got from Harry Reid's office, which is, well, we're going to wait and see. It is not great. I think it slows the momentum. It clearly looked yesterday, 2 days ago, like this thing was moving in Roland Burris' direction, that he was going to eventually get this appointment. That's going to slow the momentum. It also may give Harry Reid a few pats on the back, because if it comes out that Roland Burris did indeed have more contact than we thought with Rod Blagojevich or Rod Blagojevich's representatives about the seat, then Harry Reid will look like a genius for barring him from the Senate. So your political fortune can change very quickly in this town.
Yeah, so saying that he had never heard of any pay-to-play, that he had never approached or been approached by the governor's office about the job before December 26th, that he hadn't spoken to anybody from the governor's office since they announced the appointment. Is there more that he can do than this now that he's testified to that committee in Illinois? No.
My guess is, Keith, is that we'll go through the process that Harry Reid and Dick Durbin outlined after they met with Roland Burris, which is that this matter will be referred to the Senate Rules Committee and then for a vote in front of the full Senate. Now, a vote in front of the full Senate is important because, remember, Republicans have been dining out on this whole thing for quite a while now, saying Roland Burris is nothing but, he's got the taint of Rod Blagojevich on him. There's a little evidence there now. Do any Republicans, if it does come to a full vote, do any Republicans vote to seat Burris? And how many Democrats vote not to seat him? It could be a fascinating thing. And again, the biggest thing, it distracts from the pushing of Barack Obama's agenda that you and Howard were just talking about. But Barack Obama does not want to talk about whether Roland Burris should be a senator or not. He wants to talk about economic stimulus, health care, energy, anything probably but Roland Burris.
What was it one of Nixon's attorneys, Leonard Garment, said when Spiro Agnew was fighting impeachment as vice president, that he wanted him to quit, go away, because he just didn't want that word impeachment in the air.
That's right.
And here's a vote about whether or not somebody should be admitted to the Senate when the Democrats are trying to get somebody in who will have had a 225 vote margin from Minnesota. Are the two things interrelated by any stretch of the imagination?
Well, Harry Reid, I'm sure, would wish that the Roland Burris and Rod Blagojevich thing had not come along just as they were, as Al Franken all of a sudden went up 225 votes, because it makes it hard to seat Al Franken. He is not certified. Governor Tim Pawlenty would have to sign that. He's not going to sign it because there's an election contest likely 30, 60, or 90 days before we get a decision on that. So remember, this puts, if they don't don't seat Roland Burris, this puts them down 2 seats at least. You've got things like the Employee Free Choice Act. Republicans call it card check. You've got a lot of votes where it's going to be very, very close. They're going to need all of those 59 or 60 votes.
Lastly, as if the governor's just trivia here, is he done after this vote today?
I believe he is. You know, a lot of people say, well, where's the legal case against him? And again, this is not a legal proceeding in the state legislature. This is basically, should we impeach him? Has he done things to disgrace the office of governor? My guess with that unanimous vote is you're going to get a yes answer sooner rather than later.
Chris Cillizza of the Washington Post. As always, Chris, great thanks.
Thank you, Keith.